Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 201. I'm Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and sitting next to me is Pace, subto Morby. Pace, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Coming on 4 years of doing the show with you.
That's right.
You know what's cool is we get to see all these amazing people in the crowd that I've done deals with. I got Landon Moore, Ingrid Hernandez. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. I'm so happy to be here for a new year. So much gratitude in my heart. Sadly, we've got an empty chair for a couple of minutes because Jamil Damji is not here today. He's going through physical therapy for his neck. So we've got...
About time, by the way.
Yes. So we've got a friend of the show today, somebody who does a lot of deals, wholesale, creative. We're going to be bringing him on here. Gino is on his way from Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome.
Bro.
After the show, what are you going to do?
We are going to be giving away a Toyota Prius.
What?
You know, can I tell you the history of this Prius for a minute?
I would love it.
So I was a contractor when I bought this Prius, and I was running my construction company and my wholesale business simultaneously. So I was going to job sites and driving my truck, and then I would stop into a wholesale appointment in between my construction stuff, and I'm building. I'm like, why am I freaking driving a truck around? This is dumb. So I go get a Prius.
Yep.
And man alive, this Prius was the greatest thing I've ever driven. Still to this day, I drive a Prius primarily as my main driver. And there's my wife. Good to see my wife right here. I was just telling Brent how challenging it is to have sex when you have 3 kids sleeping in your room.
In your room.
Anybody in here, parents that had to figure out how to still have sex when you got kids in the room? Oh, when they're at school. Okay, that's when you do it. Okay, hold on. Let me take some notes, Ingrid. All right. So I buy this Prius, and this Prius ends up going everywhere with me. I probably have done 200 to 300 deals out of this Prius. In fact, the dream I had of the community that we've built came from a 16-hour drive in this Prius. And I want to tell you guys that story here in just a second. Scott Garcia, actually, is Scott in here? Where's Scott? Scott Garcia is one. Scott, will you stand up so we can see you in the audience so everybody can see you at home? Scott Garcia is one of the first people I ever did a ride along with in that Prius. And I went and visited one of his projects, and it's just so cool to see how your life has changed, bro. Like at the time you were a wrestling coach, right?
Scott, get over here.
Get over here for a second, Scott.
Get over here.
Super proud of you, brother.
Come here.
Scott Garcia, guys, give it up for this handsome son of a gun. So Scott, at the time when I first met him, he was a high school wrestling coach. And now, how are you doing? How's real estate treated you so far?
Oh, it's been pretty awesome.
Come on, bro. Give me some more. Come on, man.
that is. Come on.
Crack
it open a little bit.
I got a text message from one of my good buddies. His name is Jeff Dumas. A couple of months ago, and he says, "Hey, I had a friend of yours stay at my Airbnb," and we were texting back and forth about you. I'm like, "Oh, that's weird that came up." And he said his name's Scott Garcia, and he was talking about how he's made millions of dollars in real estate, and it's all because of ride-alongs and the way that we used to do these meetups. And Scott, it's just so fun. I remember we used to do education moments on that whiteboard. This was like 5-6 years ago. And now seeing your journey, are you still a wrestling coach?
No.
No.
No, but I take my kids to jiu-jitsu, my little baby.
Love it. What's your focus in your real estate business now?
So right now, I own a bunch of sober living homes, supported living. I own a drug rehab center, a commercial space where we're expanding to a 7,500 square foot building right now.
Awesome.
That should be done about April. And then we're looking at doing an inpatient, so overnight stays for for clients too, and that's another commercial space that we're looking at.
If you went back
right
to
now.
2018, 2019, when we first met and told yourself exactly those words, that's what you'd be up to, would you be like so proud of yourself or what?
Yeah, I mean, those are the goals I wrote down, and now.
Get closer to
Okay.
the mic. They're having a hard time.
All right,
There you go.
those were the goals I wrote down.
You knew in the beginning you wanted to be in sober living?
Well, I put like how many properties I wanted.
Okay.
And, like,
How many properties?
multifamily. Right now I own 7. So,
And what's the goal?
6.
well, I had like 5-year goals, 10-year goals.
When you own
Like,
when you
sure.
own
Yeah,
sober
yeah.
living, the goal is always to own less, one less.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
what's a really important thing that people need to understand is that when you first started, you were fixing and flipping a mobile home in
Yeah.
a mobile home park when I first met you.
Mhm.
You were doing a lot of the work yourself.
Yes.
The journey is a requirement. You can't just skip
Yeah.
stuff. And in that journey, you discovered yourself, you discovered your desires, and you found things that you really wanted to do. And I remember you door knocked for a long time. You did a lot of subto and seller finance deals. And then you find your way into sober living and this other stuff. You
Yeah.
didn't have that idea at the very beginning, correct?
No. Did a lot of wholesaling, fix and flips. I tried the texting. I tried the calling. I tried a little bit of everything.
And that's what
rental
led you to what you
properties.
ultimately do now.
Mhm.
So you had to go through all that.
Yeah, I did the signs, the bandit signs.
Nice.
I
What did your
all
bandit
that.
sign say? I'll wrestle you for your house?
Yeah, we'll buy houses, with my phone number on it.
Bro, just want to bring you up here for these, 45 seconds to just let you know we're proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Wait, I got some more questions.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got a bunch of more questions. So, how did you buy these properties? You were a school teacher. How did you have the cash to be able to buy these properties?
So, some of the deals, like I got one deal. I bought a military base. It was like 7 acres. It was off of Facebook. One of my friends from high school said, "Hey, I know someone in Arizona that can help." Grew up in Spokane, Washington. So, his half sister's father died, left her 77 properties.
Okay.
So I called her up and said, "You know what? I'm going to give you the military base. Just pay the tax liens off of it." So I paid the $4,000 off in tax liens. It came out to like $5,000.
Yeah.
And then I held on to it for a little bit, but it had like old fire trucks, school buses, 16 Army barracks on it. And then I did another wholesale deal.
So did you sell that then?
I sold it, and then I did another wholesale deal. I made about 60. I made $60,000 on that. So I made about $100,000. That's what I was like.
$60,000. How much were you making as a wrestling coach?
As a school teacher, $74,000 a year.
74.
And
Yeah.
the wholesale deal, how'd you find that? Do you remember?
Door knocking. Yeah.
Door knocking.
Yeah, it said do not knock, and we went and knocked.
No soliciting.
Yeah,
It said,
no
"Do not
soliciting.
Dog will
knock?"
attack.
Do not knock. Go away.
So you rang the
And then-
doorbell.
Yeah, rang the doorbell.
Yeah, it doesn't say that.
The grandma just died like a few months before, and I was like, "You looking to sell your house or rent out?" Yeah. My grandma passed away. We're looking to sell it, and yeah, it's kind of by your office when I took people door knocking.
Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
good old days.
Yeah.
The good
Why
old
why
days.
did you knock that door?
We were knocking every single door in the
So you hit
neighborhood.
every door,
Yeah.
and that specific door somebody answered,
Yeah, he's like,
and one conversation led to 60,000.
Yeah.
Come on.
Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
And he sold an army base.
yeah.
It sold an army
And I
base.
bought another one for like $10 out in AJ, a trap house. Sold
Right.
for $92,000.
So you bought a house for $10
$10, yeah.
and sold it for how much?
92,000.
Okay, how'd you do that?
So just word of mouth. Like I was teaching school, and I used to talk about real estate to the other teachers. So
Yeah.
one of my buddies said, "Hey, my brother just got out of jail. He was talking to the neighbor, said, I want to buy your house.
Mm-hmm.
I lived across from the parents. And so he went over there, shook the guy's hand, said, I want to buy this. How much? 50 grand. Okay. And the guy kept getting arrested for being on his own property. His family owned a Hershey's chocolate. The mom had died, left him like 600 acres worth of property.
Yeah.
And that was one of the houses. So he said he started a party 6 years ago. People have stayed that did drugs and
He started a party 6 years ago. People were
Never
still
ended.
never ended.
Never ended.
Love it.
So he kept getting arrested. He got arrested like 4 times for being on his own property. And so he's like, well, I was going to lose the property anyway. My buddy's like, what happened to the guy that I was going to buy for? They go, he got arrested today.
Yeah.
So he bailed him out of jail. So I went, I helped him through the probate process. And
You're like, I have $10 for you.
Well,
They're like, I'll take it.
I was just doing it for free to help him out, you know.
Right.
And then after 2 months of them not listening or getting a contract, finally I went over there. And then he's like, let's just split this 50-50, you and me. So we bought the house for $10. And
It's amazing.
sold it for $92,000.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I got my real estate license.
Give it up for Scott Garcia.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Scott, we love you, brother.
Love
We
you
love
too.
you.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, great to see
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome.
All right, let's bring in Gino, my good old buddy.
Come
Gino,
on,
get in here. Come on,
Gino.
man. Love you, brother. Love you, love you, love you. Now, if you guys don't know Gino's going to be on Steve Trang's podcast on Wednesday.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
really?
A podcast that I think a lot of us have loved for many, many years. It was a podcast that got me started. It was like my first real podcast with Steve Trang.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff.
He's got some good stuff. Gino, where are you mainly investing?
Yeah, mainly investing in Atlanta, Georgia. I would say, though, in the last 2 to 3 months, we switched a lot of our direct-to-seller marketing, and we're mostly wholesaling. Direct-to-seller marketing in Raleigh-Durham and Dallas-Fort Worth. So it's about 40-40 Raleigh-Durham, Dallas-Fort Worth, and then 20% Metro Atlanta.
And you got a wedding coming up?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, my fiance's back there. Pace.
Have her
Pace
stand
was,
up. She's one of the prettiest girls on the planet. Come here.
All
Come here, come here, come here.
right.
So
You,
Pace
you
always,
guys went to the Grand Canyon today? We just so you know, my wife and I love you. You are the best. I don't think he deserves you. Just so you
yeah,
know.
there you go. That's a good way to put it. No, but like Pace always messes around. Like we've been engaged for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you're still we're taking our time, but we're yeah, no,
bro.
exactly. Quick Vegas run. No, but
I also can officiate your wedding, just so you know.
Can you?
So let's get this thing done.
Let's do it. Right now, no.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about maybe what's coming up in 2024. We'd love to hear your thoughts throughout the show. We got some Q&A that we got to do. Anybody in the audience that has questions today, please feel free to interject, talk a little crap, raise your hand. We got a microphone for that as well.
Yep.
So just to round off the conversation around the Prius that we're going to be giving away today, Scott Garcia was one of the first people that I took in my ride along. And it's just so cool to see the trickle effect. And look on the screen right now, Carly Grunman. She says, Ingrid helped me find a buyer for a creative RV. Money's coming your way this week for a bird dog. So it's just so cool to see how everybody's interconnected in this community that we've built. We could not do it without you guys. We just love and adore all of you. And thank you guys sticking with us all the way through 2024 and beyond. By the way, anybody watching the show today, please send Jamil a DM. If you guys don't mind, take a screenshot, take a photo of the show, send Jamil a DM and just say, hey, good luck this week. He's got intense physical therapy where he will have to check into a place and not be able to communicate with anybody for a week. So send him some love. I'm actually taking his Astro call on Tuesday for him just because it's that intense for him this coming week. Now, Prius, tons of deals have been done in this Prius. And one of the coolest stories that ever happened to me happened in this Prius. I get a lead. This is 2019. And I was still kind of going on appointments. I think it was on the tail end of me going on appointments before I just got all the way out of it. I get a lead in Denver, Colorado, and it's not a house in Denver, Colorado. It's a seller that's in Denver selling a house in Phoenix. I strike a price with him, and it's like Wednesday morning, and he says, all right, I will do the deal with you. Meet me at my house, and let's get this deal done. I go, well, I don't live there, so I'll have to send somebody to your house. He goes, no. That's not going to happen. Don't email me. Don't do anything. If you're not going to meet me at the house, eyeball to eyeball, I'm not doing the deal with you. And I was like, no problem. Now, this is before my free Facebook group. This is before we had this podcast. This is before we built a community of people that are helping each other from across the freaking country. And it's so cool to see what we've all done. But a big part of that started from this story. So I go on a website that calls themselves a community. It's just a forum. And I went on there and I said, I need somebody's help in Denver to be my joint venture partner. And it was nothing but criticism of, why don't you have your real estate license, you freaking wholesaler, blah, 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 blah. Typical bullshit. So sorry, no kids in here or a couple kids? So I go, oh man, that sucks. I get no real positive response. The next day, Thursday morning, I get a call from a guy named Steve. Steve calls me, goes, hey, I saw your post on this forum and I want to help you out. I live in Denver. I can go meet the seller. Let's get this deal done. What do you want to do? I go 50-50, bro. You go get the contract done. I already have the buyer. We'll split the deal 50-50. This guy is just an old school kind of dude. He will not sign unless somebody goes up there personally. And I just don't have the time to get on a flight and do the thing and blah, blah, blah. And at the time, if you didn't have somebody in our community, how the heck were you doing a deal? Think about this. How are you doing a deal 5 years ago without our collective communities, TTP, Subto, Astro? How are you doing that?
You weren't doing it out of state, I'll tell you that.
You were having a really hard time.
Yep.
Here's what happened. I get a call, not from Steve, because Steve starts ghosting me. Had the appointment at 1:00 in the afternoon. Steve's not texting me. I get a call from the seller.
Mm-hmm.
And the seller calls me up and goes, hey, just want to let you know, your good old buddy Steve came over here. And he had the printout of what you put on the website saying you're looking for a JV partner. And this guy tried to rat you out. And I'm sitting here, oh my gosh, I'm caught with my pants down. Oh my gosh, this seller found out I'm just wholesaling the deal. And I go, well, why are you calling me if you and Steve just did the deal? He goes, I told you I would do the deal with you as long as you met with me eyeball to eyeball. And so I go, wow. And he says, look, Steve actually is paying me $1,000 more than you. I'm like, this son of a
Stevie, man. Stevie.
Freaking screw Steve. So he says he's going to pay me a little bit more money. I won't sign with him until I know you and I are not doing the deal. Are you going to get up here and we're going to do this deal face to face? Part of me, like 5% of me thought this guy's going to kill me. Like something bad's going to happen, right? So what happens is I'm like, I'm not going to do the deal. Steve can have it. You ever get like really pissed off? You're just like, F it. I don't want to deal with it. And you just have this pressure and stress. You're just like, I'm going to avoid it altogether. That's how I felt. Middle of the night, Thursday, like maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? It's now rolling into Friday morning. I wake up and I'm like, F Steve. And I get in my Prius and I drive 16 hours to this guy's house. And I get there at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I get the contract signed. I'm walking out like triumphant, like Rocky Balboa, you know? This isn't just Denver. This is like Denver plus 2 hours up in the middle of nowhere. Dirt fields, all that kind of stuff. I get the deal signed. And all of a sudden this billow of smoke comes, like not smoke, dust is coming up behind this like pickup truck down this dirt road towards this guy's house. And I'm standing here like, oh my gosh, this is the only road out. This guy's speeding like 80 miles an hour on a dirt road. This guy's going to come and kill me. Like this is going to be some hillbilly, like Children of the Corn type of stuff, you know? This guy gets out, jumps out of his truck and puts his hand out. And he's like, are you Pace Morby? And I go, yeah. I mean, this is like, I have 3,000 Instagram followers at the time, right? He didn't know me from that. Yeah. And I go, who are you? And he goes, you just signed a deal with my dad. And I want to shake the hand of the guy that did what I thought he wasn't going to do. And I go, what do you mean? He says, my dad told me about what Steve did to you. And my answer was, Pace ain't going to show up. He's going to let Steve do the deal. There's no way that guy's going to make this happen. And when my dad told me you were driving up here because you couldn't get a flight in enough time, I had to come and shake your hand for blah, blah, you know, this whole thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, F Steve. I just am like, yes. And I just felt like I won. I get back in the Prius and I drive 16 hours home. And I'm sitting here thinking, why is it that there's no community in real estate? Why is it that I have to worry about somebody snaking a deal? Why is it that I can't go bounce around the country? Like Ingrid, you've bounced around the country multiple times. You go I'm in Ingrid's, not Ingrid, but I'm in Landon's Airbnb a couple of weeks ago up in Montana. You go stay at other people's houses all over the country. No matter where you go in this country, if you're part of this community, you've got 100 friends in every single city. And a big part of that vision and that dream came from driving home in this Prius and voice memoing myself idea after idea after idea after idea. And when I got home, one of the first ideas I had was, I'm going to create a free Facebook group. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We're going to create like a real community of people that I can JV with all over the country. And the third person that sat in my car when I started doing ride-alongs at Circle K at 6 o'clock in the morning was Scott freaking Garcia. And he came today to watch me give that same Prius to Larry Parsons today. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. It's so fun to watch that whole little journey and how that car is so important to me. And I'm so happy that I get to just hand the keys to somebody else. We went and played golf the other day. Landon, you, me, and a handful of other people went and played golf. Gino, why haven't we played golf recently, bro?
I got my clubs.
All right, we're playing.
He's ready to go.
How long are you going to be here?
Thursday.
Okay, good. We won't be playing. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
But
backyard, man.
Backyard stuff. Okay, so we go play golf, and I go to the community. I go, hey, who wants to come play golf with us? And we get 8 people together. We have a blast. We did a little 4-on-4 action. I owe Landon, I think, $180 or something like that. Maybe it's more. It's probably more. And we're dispersing into the parking lot the other night. And everybody's going to their cars in the golf course parking lot except for Larry. And Larry's hanging back. And I'm like, bro, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm waiting for my Uber. I'm like, what do you mean you're waiting for your Uber? And he says, I don't have a car. My car engine blew up. And I'm like, well, how are you getting around? He goes, I spend like $30, $40 a day on buses and Ubers and this, that, and the other. And I go, dude, I'll take you. Take him there. I've got my son with me. On the drive home, my son is like, Dad, we should give a car to Larry. I was like, we should give a car to Larry. So Larry, we love you. Proud of you. You're working hard. You need momentum. Everybody needs momentum. And I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community for helping each other. That's what this is all about. So welcome to Wholesale Hotline 2024.
Heck yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. First question of the new year, Gino and Brent.
Yep.
Barry says, why does it take up to 1,000 calls just to get the first deal? Is that something that you teach and you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're making those calls, right? If you are super focused, if you're taking it one call at a time and you're really listening to who you're speaking with and you're building up your skills of communicating with property owners, it shouldn't take 1,000 calls because you should be getting about a 10% contact rate. And so it'll take you 2,000 calls. You have to talk to 200 people to get a deal, especially when you're starting out. And if you have a VA doing it, you can 10 times that. You can, because this is a skills-based business. Skills was the word of the year for 2023. The word of the year for 2024 is big. We're going big this year. This is an election year. If you guys have never been in real estate during an election year, watch what happens at the second half of this year. It's going to go absolutely bananas. You want to know why? Because all of the media isn't going to be talking about interest rates, and they're not going to be talking about the economy, and they're not going to be talking about everything that really puts the bubble on real estate. They're going to be talking about the election, right? They're going to be talking about the election. And because they're going to be distracted with the election, there's not going to be all this poison getting put into everybody's mind about the real estate market. And because of that, we're going to go bananas. We're going to go bananas this year. So the word of the year is big. And I love that you were talking about how you were getting your deals because you were being loud about what you were doing. You were a teacher, but not here, right? Not here. Right here, you're an entrepreneur. Right here, you're a real estate entrepreneur. And so you were telling everybody that. And if you have true conviction about being a real estate entrepreneur, everybody should know about it. Because when everybody knows about it, then you're going to find opportunities that you never knew were there. You truly will. Right. And so be as loud as possible, squat up with as many people that are winning as possible, and think really big this year, bigger than you ever have before. Whatever you did last year, double it, triple it, 10 times it. Go crazy this year. Just go crazy. So with 100 calls, make it 1,000 calls, make it 10,000 calls, make it 100,000 calls. All right. But it doesn't, there's no set amount. It depends on what your skill is, depends on who you're calling. If you call properties that are in distress and properties that have people, if you're having conversations with property owners that have personal problems with their property, you don't have to talk to as many people. So filter it down.
Let's also clarify what you're talking about as well, right? Gino, he's obviously not talking about if he's sending out direct mail, because if I'm doing direct mail, I'm getting different lead quality, right?
This is outgoing conversations, not incoming.
Meaning you're picking up your phone.
This is prospecting, not marketing.
Boom. Okay, right. So there's a very big difference. If you have money for a budget and you're like, I don't have time. I have a job. I don't have time to be calling, but I do have a budget to get inbound leads. Am I going to have to make 1,000 calls to get my first deal? No. Are you doing any sort of direct mail?
Yeah, direct mail, PPC.
What are your KPIs on direct mail right now in like Raleigh, Durham area?
Well, we kind of split them obviously in quartiles, but in totality, it's about 15 leads, inbound calls in to get one contract in mail, and PPC is about 10. So again, it's about really like, Brent said.
Do you know what your cost per lead is? I know you got a couple.
Yeah, cost per lead for mail. Just in again all the markets together, mail is a little bit more expensive. I think it's around like $4 or $385, something around there.
Okay, so guys, pay attention to this. Gino just said, and this is a big difference between what you just talked about and what he's saying. So if I've got 15 leads I got to pay for, and my average lead is $385, and I have 15 leads. That means my cost per contract is $5,775 per deal. Mm-hmm. So if I'm brand new and I don't have $5,775 to gamble, then you got to go this route.
You got three ways to get leads, and that's the start of this whole business. It's lead generation, converting those leads into a signed agreement, and then it's exit strategy. So with lead generation, you can buy conversations, you can wait for conversations, or you can earn conversations. That's it. So you can buy them through marketing. You can wait for them by building up a network of people that'll send you referrals, or you can go out and be proactive. If you do not have a budget and you do not have a reputation, you've only got one plan. You got to be loud.
Yeah.
You got to talk to people every single day about buying houses. That's it. You got to talk to people. That's how you build the momentum. But I will say, and you're a testament to this, all roads lead to marketing. And I think all roads lead to pay-per-click, to be honest. I think all roads lead.
And what you mean by that is that
pay-per-click.
the only way to truly scale a wholesale business long-term is to
Yes.
have pay-per-click.
Yes.
In the beginning, you're using multiple lead generation strategies because you're based on budget or maybe time allocation, or maybe your acquisition team is not ready for you to spend a bunch of money on them, whatever it may be. But as you scale, you're going to have to go inbound leads primarily.
And listen to this. I did the stats of 2023, all of the deals that we did. Cold calling took 151 days from initial conversation to closing.
Cash
Remember
conversion.
that, right? What do you call it?
Cash conversion cycle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Cash conversion cycle.
That's the name of our
Texting
new
was
podcast.
120 days. Texting, first time you talk to them to get paid. Pay-per-click was 50 days. 50 days with a lot of them around 30, right? We had some outliers there. And then we did TV this year, and that was 30 days. But marketing is a lot faster, but it's a lot more expensive.
Right.
And so, one, you have to have your systems in place. You have to be able, how fast do you have to respond
Within
to a
5
pay-per-click
minutes.
lead?
Within 5 minutes, So
A
ideally
direct
30
mail
seconds.
lead.
Within 5 minutes too.
Right.
Yeah.
Live answers.
Live answers.
Oh,
if they
direct
call
mail,
in,
if you
live
miss
answers.
a freaking call from direct mail,
Yeah.
oh my,
Yeah,
shame on you.
To clarify, if it's coming in, instant answer. If it's just a form or they
When
fill
my
out.
wife gave birth to Corbin, it's like
You're on
1:00 in the morning. I had a lead come in. I'm taking that lead.
You have to.
I took that lead.
Yeah.
It's
money.
When I was, check this out. I found this business card. By the way, Larry, this business card was in that Toyota Prius. I used to be a home investor, a We Buy Ugly House guy. This is my 6-year-old card. My cost per lead was $1,100 per phone call. Okay, so I'm paying them a broker fee. I'm paying them all sorts of stuff for them to manage my leads. $1,100 a call.
Yeah.
You got to answer.
If you don't answer, and even my wife is like, "Baby's coming out." She's like, "Answer the phone.
Yeah, take it, man.
We got a baby to pay for."
Yeah, exactly.
151 days for a phone call. Interesting. Now, Eric, where you at? Where's my boy Eric? Guys, give it up for my stunt double, Eric. For those of you guys, Matt, will you show us the live audience just real quick? Boom, guys, say what's up, guys. Give us some loud. Look at that beautiful crowd. I love that. So, Eric, you've done a couple of deals recently. You did a deal where you sold me a fourplex, a subto deal. How many calls did it take for you to get that deal under contract? No, you had to call one person. Was it a text message? Okay, it was a DM. So there are other ways to get deals, but you've got to be intermixed and networking inside of the community. Ingrid, have you done deals with people inside the community? Landon? Okay, so there are ways for you guys to network and work with other people. What would that fall underneath? What umbrella would that fall underneath? Being loud?
Yeah. That's referrals.
Okay, referrals.
That's network. That's community. That's your center of influence, as they call it in the realtor world.
Okay, so
The
your
COI,
sphere.
right? Yeah, the
Sphere of influence. So you made, I don't know, you did 13, 14 deals last year, right? As a camera dude.
What'd you make?
Total.
Yeah.
Total, like between all that. A lot of those were Gator deals. He had like
Here,
10,
can you
10 Gator
throw
deals.
this to him?
Don't get your lime smelling hands all over our thing. Him and I just had a bunch of
There we go.
tacos.
I was gonna say, doesn't he eat a bunch?
Oh, he eats
I-
so much, bro.
I would say, I don't know the exact figure, but I would say probably 20, 25 grand
25 grand.
total.
And how many cold calls did you make?
0.
How many direct mail leads did you get?
0.
Okay, so that falls under referrals.
Yeah.
Right? So there are other ways to do this. So the people that are like, I have to make 1,000 phone calls. You don't have to, but if you're trying to build a business and you want to go that way where you actually have built the skill of getting out there, 1,000 calls, I think that is probably very appropriate. There's just three different ways to get leads. What are the
What
three
else
ways?
are you going to do? Knock doors? Send out some text messages? Maybe.
I don't know.
But at some point, you're going to have to communicate.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to communicate.
Yeah, I think. Sorry to interrupt, but I think
That's
I
why
saw-
you're here, Gino.
I saw Hermosi say this recently that it takes 4,000 cold calls to become good, not great. Good.
Conversations.
Yeah, conversations too, right? So I think the majority of people, they try to, when they get in this business, I think where you can become, very well equipped is get on the phone as soon as you can, especially if you're trying to get a deal quickly. Because like I always take your mantra, right? Talk to people. And I think for me, when I first started out, all I did was cold call because that's all. And I was watching a bunch of Brent stuff.
Yep.
And I look back on it and I see how quickly like I was able to grow in the business because like you said, right now, truthfully, one of our top marketing sources is SMS marketing. But at the end of the day, you got to get them on the phone and talk to them.
Sure.
Right. So I think it's a very good skill to have and to learn, especially when you're starting out, just trying to talk to as many people as possible every single day, as many as possible.
Well, and if you set it up so that you have your list, you have your phone numbers, you put it into a dialing system, and you just press a button, you don't have the opportunity to have creative avoidance. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
It doesn't sneak in. You're like, oh, well, I got to organize this list and I got to do this and I got to go check the Facebook group and I got to go
clean my desk.
Maybe, I got to do all these things. You just go
Gotta
in
watch another
and you-
Hermosi
and you push
video.
a button.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Got to lift.
In the beginning, be as dumb as possible. I'm serious. Be as dumb as possible. And I have this conversation with a lot of students throughout the country that are really smart, really intelligent people, and they just can't take action because they're just crippled by too many thoughts going on. And I'm like, stop it. Clear it all out. Just talk to 5 people and ask them if they would consider an offer on their property and see what happens. And then talk to 10 and then 20 and then 50. That's how you start building it up to the point where you have a budget and you have systems and you have talent to be able to take all these incoming leads and convert them into great opportunities.
Can we talk a little bit of shit about Jamil's strategy of getting leads?
Sure.
Okay, give it up for Eric, guys.
Hey!
Okay. Jamil's not on the show.
Best.
So
He came right in front. He's like, get me on that.
he's the
camera.
best.
Come back.
He
He's the
loves
best.
cameras.
We love him. Okay, so let's talk about direct to agent versus direct to seller. You're
Yes.
obviously direct seller, direct to seller. I'm always been direct to seller. Where is direct to agent more appropriate for a newbie and direct to seller more appropriate for a newbie? Let's talk about that, Gino and Brent.
It's hard because
Is
like
it
you said,
budget?
I've always been direct to seller. Yeah, I would say obviously it's a lower cost to free cost to acquire those, retail leads. I think it's obviously one way you can get started in the business. I just think like we've been talking about a little bit to scale up and to grow and to become, making it a true long-term business. Again, not to be on Jamil, but, make it like I'm saying, just like a long-term way to keep bringing in leads and you can control it. I mean, that's obviously where you got the retail side of it, or excuse me, you got the direct to seller side of it. So, I mean, I think starting out though, it's very good to build relationships and just talk to people, right? So, I mean, that's a good way to, obviously talk to as many agents as possible because not only do they have sellers that want to sell, they might have buyers in the future. So I'm not, again, by no means denouncing the strategy of talk, direct to agent, but I think in terms of what I've seen and other people and peers that I've talked to, it's just in order to scale a business, I think it goes back to just spending the money on marketing from direct to seller. Personally,
Brent, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's still talking to people. It's still having great conversations. I think it's really smart to build at least, imagine if you have 30 agents that trust you and like you and know that you can get the deal done, that send you one deal a year. Just one. Even in tiny markets, the average is 10,000 a deal. So it's 300,000. You're like 80% of the way to being the top 1% income earner in the world. Just by having 30 agents to send you one ugly house a year. So, I mean, it's, I don't think it's either or. I think it's and.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to focus on that, you just make sure that you understand that agents are going to want to use their contract, their purchase agreement. So they're going to use the realtor agreement. They're going to want 1% for earnest funds.
Yep.
They're going to want proof of funds, and they're going to want to know that you know what you're doing. And they'll probably want to try to get you to their title company or their closing attorney, depending on what state you're at. So, there's some more hurdles to go through there, but it can be wildly beneficial. I think you need to build up your referral database as big as you can. And whether that's just a reputation that you could sell other people's deals. I mean, Jamil's big. The reason Keegley's so big and does more deals than anybody is because they help everybody else sell their deals.
Exactly.
And they've got great relationships with agents in each of the markets that will send them opportunities because they either don't want to put it on the market or they just want to work with them. So I think it's both. You know,
I
think if you're looking at where do I start and what do I do, what do you feel more comfortable with? If you feel more comfortable having a conversation with an agent because you are an agent or you've been around agents, great. If like going into scary neighborhoods and scary houses is super intimidating, then go direct to the agent. You know what I mean? I mean, some of these properties are rough, are really, really rough. You have to feel, safe. You know what I mean?
I agree, though. Like you said, I think there's both ways. I like the and with it, building relationships because, like we talked about, especially in Jamil's model, right, is that if you're co-wholesaling, you're selling to other people. Agents can be a great source to bring leads and also to sell them, like you mentioned, or you can sell.
Here's where the challenge arises. Okay, the challenge arises when you try to go beyond yourself, and you try and go beyond yourself in your business. You go, I need to have acquisition guys.
Yep.
When they are relied on to go build the relationship with the agent, that's where things get really muddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing when I was working with probate attorneys. You remember Rylas Dana,
Yep.
amazing probate attorneys who've been on the show multiple times. I go build a relationship as the owner of my business with another owner of the business. Awesome. The second I pass that relationship on to one of my employees and my acquisition people, everything goes south.
Exactly.
And so the scalable model of that is very challenging. Whereas when I spend the money on marketing for my direct to seller business, it's like tried and true, and all the raw material just keeps being put on that conveyor belt. And my acquisition people have people to talk to that we don't have to worry about developing this credibility and all this kind of stuff. And the other thing about agents, I don't know when that agent's going to have another deal. I have no idea.
Right. Well, and again, we're in a market now where people have been able to get deals off the MLS.
Right.
We went for like a 4-year run where that was not possible.
Right.
That just wasn't happening. Things were going way too fast. Properties were selling way too fast. Agents were
Over
dealing
retail.
with anything.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't see the property. You didn't walk the property. You don't know how to communicate with your offers. You're just sending in offers to agents. Get out of here.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right now,
There's no way. Now, in the last 18 months, it's been okay, but it's going to start.
if you go direct to
start
seller right
eating
now, here's the question. If I want to get a deal tomorrow,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Okay, Gino, think about it. Brent, think about it. If I want to get a deal tomorrow, you drop me anywhere in the country. I don't care what the state is. I don't care what city, county it is. I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to call expired listings direct to seller immediately, and I'm going to go through for a subto or seller finance deal, assign that bad boy, make $10,000, $15,000 in less than 24 hours. Okay. Truly can be done. And Andrew McGuire, one of our students, I just bought a fourplex from him. He's spending his time just calling 30, 40 leads every morning from expired listings, call the sellers directly, get the agents out of the way. If I'm going direct to agent, I'm calling agents with 100 days on market or more, and I'm going to go do a filter on PropStream that says that they've got a low interest rate mortgage. I'm going through for a creative finance deal. I know I can get a deal that day. I just know I can, especially the way the market is now. What about you two boys? How are you going to get a deal today?
I would say same thing or similar as I would, wherever you drop me, I would go to the closing attorney or the title company's, office or one of, right, their office. And I would go there, ask them for a list of pre-foreclosures, ask them for canceled deals.
Yeah. Ooh,
Other
canceled
wholesalers,
deals.
right, that go to those people and they get their deals canceled.
Oh, bro,
right? 'Cause
you
they
know
can't
how many of those? We just had a deal that we were working on, a deal just canceled. So what you're saying is you call the title company and say, have you had any deals that you guys open escrow,
Exactly.
spent your team's
because they already
time
spent
on?
money on it, and so they want to get paid, right? And the only way they get paid usually is if they close. So reach out to those title companies, closing attorneys, in Georgia is a closing attorney state. Text them, cold call those sellers, and usually, what do the closing attorneys or title companies have already? They got the seller's info.
Right.
They got who maybe potentially would have been the buyer, but they backed out. I mean, they already got a lot of the pieces of the puzzle for you there. And so if you go in there and obviously try to provide more value to the seller, hit, a little bit more of the pain, solve more of the problems, whether that might be some creative financing that needs to be done or whatever it might be, right there.
Boom. I love that. What about you, Brent?
I'd find a smaller market. I'd go on Zillow. I'd look for sale by owners, and I'd start making some real low offers.
I love
real low or creative. Right. If the price is too high, that's fine. I can get you your price, but it'll have to be in payments.
Right.
Are you open to payments?
Right.
No. Okay, great. Yes. Okay. Here we go.
Now, knowing your guys' skills at your skill level,
Yeah.
we could do that in 24 hours. Somebody that's brand new, having somebody maybe by their side, you think they could get a deal in their first 48 to 72 hours?
If they had someone by their side, yes.
Okay.
And if someone with experience, right?
Okay.
I believe they could.
Love it. Good question right here. Facebook user, I wish I knew your name. He says, how do I structure a subto deal if the mortgage is not assignable or maybe breaching covenants and the mortgage company finds out? Then there was accelerated payments, and guys, it's called the due on sale clause. Just type in Pace Morby due on sale clause on YouTube, and I answer like 90%
You've
of
never answered it though.
I've never answered
You
it.
keep skirting this thing.
I
dude.
keep skirting
You gotta just answer the question, bro.
Here's what I actually did about a year and 3 months ago. I put together an agent class. I brought in 200 agents into my office. I spent a bunch of money on it. I brought in 2 attorneys, my closing at my escrow officer who I've been working with for 10 years. And we did a whole class on the legalities of creative finance. I brought in somebody who helped write the Dodd-Frank Act, and we taught a class for 6 hours. Guess what, guys? DM me on Instagram. People are like, I'm scared, dude.
Think about it. Let it simmer, right? And then
get some courage. Kill the lizard.
One of these things. Yeah. Why are you expanding, by the way, Gino?
It wasn't necessarily. I'm expanding markets, but the reality is our marketing spend is staying the same. We're just targeting. We're a fully virtual wholesaling company. So what I figured out, and not for 5 years, I've been told, stay in your market, stay in your market, stay in your market. And I've been the one telling people, we help a lot of people.
You do have a good market.
Yeah, Atlanta is a great market. But what I started to see more, and especially when you get into these bigger marketing sources, PPC, direct mail, I ran TV for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
When you got certain competitors in the market and more open door, offer pad that are creating cost per clicks up to $800,000, more than San Diego, more than I have a pretty well experience.
They're doing that in Georgia?
In Georgia.
Damn.
And so what we quickly found is like, all right, we have the team built, the capacity, right? We have a virtual team. Why don't we go in here and just start last year, actually at the beginning of 2023, let's just start a little bit, pull 50,000 records in Dallas, Fort Worth area. And let's start, targeting that, skip trace, obviously, and target that list of SMS and cold call, mostly SMS, and quickly started seeing traction there and said, all right, well, let's deviate a little bit about August of last year in North Carolina. So anyway, it is in some respect expanding, but at the same time, it's more becoming more efficient.
It doesn't make any difference for you because it doesn't matter where you're wholesaling. You're set up to wholesale. Even if you are wholesaling in Atlanta, you guys aren't going on appointments. No. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're doing everything still virtual.
Exactly.
You could be in the Bahamas for all it matters.
Yeah.
And so for you deviating to Raleigh, Durham, or to Dallas, Fort Worth, you're still doing it the same.
Exactly. Just following the trends, following to the hottest supply, lowest supply, lowest days on market, highest median price. So that's where your big deal sizes come from.
I think that's a tough thing for people that get scaled to a certain point, and also newbies looking at that saying, oh my gosh, I'm looking at Gino's business 5 years down the road.
Yeah,
that's
don't
really
do
confusing.
That. Don't do that.
Don't do that. You're not there at that point. But everybody's the same way. It's like, even if you're a framer, right? Let's say you're a framing contractor. You don't go to one lumber yard the rest of your life and get your lumber from there. You're bouncing around, getting priced out, and you're saying, oh, these guys are raising their price. I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to build a relationship here.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm going to go over to this state and I'm going to get a better thing here. I'm going to buy in bundle. Every business is exactly what you just described. It's just not called SMS and cold calling.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you doing for your cash buyer database?
So for us, about 90% of our deals, we wholesale on MLS. So we put them on the multiple listing service.
While you have them under contract?
While we have them under agreement.
I thought that's illegal. Didn't Steve Trang say that?
I know. I was not going to bring that up on the podcast after the month. No, Steve, me and Steve
record. Did you see the episode we had a couple months ago?
He's on his podcast in like 2 days.
Okay, beat his ass up. Please.
No, so Steve and me, I know where it's going, but no, we're not going to go on the podcast with it. But what we do is everything according to our attorneys, all legal. But with that being said, everything gets brought up to all the sellers. The sellers are signed 4 different documents that say they know what's going on, how we position it, more importantly, which again, this is a more advanced strategy down the road. Like you were kind of mentioning on the show, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone starting out. But what we do is, we tell the seller up front, look, just kind of like a seller finance deal. If you want more money, we can get you more money, but it's doing this, right? It's allowing us to put it on the multiple list service. Now, by no means are we doing the contracts. We're not going on the deeds at all. Like what
that's sketchy.
No, we're not doing that at all.
Sketchy, bro.
Yeah, we're not.
Steve Trang, that's sketchy, bro. Don't do that.
No, we're not doing any of that. So everything is just an agreement.
So
with
you're essentially in a way partnering with the seller.
Yeah.
It's somewhat of innovation to a certain degree.
Somewhat to innovation.
Where you're like, hey, we're going to let us put this on the MLS for you. We'll go find the buyer and we'll get you more money than what you originally planned.
Exactly. And we can do that because how we underwrite our properties. And I think I was explaining this. We started in 2022 doing this. So we've been over 400 contracts, we close on our deals about 60%. just because we have a lot of fallout
Meaning
over the phone.
You contract 10 deals,
and close
60% of them actually go all the way through escrow.
And we're trying to work on that actively. But the biggest problem with us is that we're not in person.
The average like high level, very efficient wholesaler is at like 70%.
Yeah.
And the average wholesaler who's not at that level is like 40% or 30%.
Exactly.
So, bro, you guys are crushing the game.
Yeah, and big thing, like I said, is we're not in person, so it's hard to sometimes the sellers.
Is this why you and your girl are always traveling?
Try our best. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I built the virtual business is just so we could travel around. So we spent about 4 months in Europe and other parts of the world last year. So it's a big thing. But anyway, forget about me. Back to the process.
That's why you're here, bro. We care about you.
No, I appreciate it. But back to the process. Yeah, we just, again, like I said, completely cordial with the seller. Tell them up front, we can get you this money. And the only reason is a little different than some of the novations.
These are off-market deals.
Off-market deals.
No, I'm not calling an agent and saying, hey, let me get your on-market deal and then post it on the MLS.
Exactly.
You're calling an off-market seller.
Yep.
Saying, hey, we can get you more money, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to potentially, maybe, market on the MLS. We need you to sign these documents saying so. Of course, you guys are not just putting on the MLS. You probably are shopping it to.
We shop it to all our cash buyers first.
So you're telling your seller, hey, we are going to wholesale this.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not playing on
No. Yeah, we always tell them up front that we're going to come on over here. We're not going to be the end buyers. We're going to the way we can come to your price. If you want us to purchase it, we're going to be at the low cash offer price. We can close on it in 14 days, 7 days, 5 days, but we're going to be at this price. You want more money?
Close on them?
Yeah, we close probably about. Out of all those deals, again, it just depends on how deep of the discount.
I mean, you buy them yourself.
Exactly. And even with double close on all the regular deals, right? But even on the deals that we get at extreme prices, we'll close on all of them. I won't wholesale one of those, just wholesale it or do a quick flip, right? So majority of them is the typical strategy where we just double close with a cash buyer that's on the retail on the market, or we find a conventional buyer. So it just depends, obviously, per deal. But like you explained, is we tell the seller up front, look, if you want this price, we can get you this price, but these are the terms we need. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. We can offer you this price here that's, way lower, but it's up to you, decide. And then we actually have another call after that. They don't accept any of those, which goes into more. I'm trying to train my AM director. It's a hard thing to do for me because I got to be a better coach. But then on that, if they don't accept that call or that offer, any of those two prices, then they'll go ahead and come back and do a survey call. This is a good thing for everyone. If you have any team or any more than one person on your team.
My wife used to do this exact thing for me.
Yeah, so we call that person back, and our AM director actually does it, and our acquisition director that runs the acquisition department, he will call the seller back and say, hey, just want to check in how Gino did on his call with you. How did he represent the company? Truly like a survey of what that acquisition manager did. And then at the end, because the seller's guard is down, not to go on a tangent, but because the seller's guard is down because they're talking to a customer service representative that happens to be the AM director. The AM director pitches a creative finance deal or pitches another, strategy so that the seller, again, their guard's down. They're not talking to a salesperson. That survey person comes in there and offers a different strategy. So then we'll go into some creative finance, something we're still working on. But
this is one of the things I had. I saw somebody YouTube the other day. They go, Austin Zabak, actually. I'll just say his name straight up on the YouTube channel. Somebody will DM him. I like Austin, so this is not a criticism. But he says, people are talking about how all these creative finance deals are doing, and I see all these creative finance they're doing. They're saying wholesale is dead. We don't do any creative finance deals. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And I'm like, it's because you guys aren't doing a survey with your sellers.
Yeah.
Like if your seller, the cash offer is not working, you need to be calling. This is what my wife used to do. When she was on it was just me and her. She would call and say, hey, couple of things. She would call and go, why didn't you sell that house to my husband?
Exactly.
And they would say in the beginning, when I sucked at follow-up, they'd go, well, because your husband said he'd follow up, but he didn't. So I sold it to this other person. And my wife go, oh my gosh, why didn't you follow up? You should have followed up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Now you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble. And then she would follow up on the creative finance side and say, well, we do buy houses another way. Did he mention it to you this way? And that's where a lot of our creative finance offers come from, because they do have their guard down. You also do have so much more of the information from the cash offer and what their pain is and all that kind of stuff. So when you come back, it's a completely different team. The biggest challenge I see with big teams like Austin saying we're not doing creative finance deals, it's because you don't have one person dedicated to just creative finance. Where the problem probably on your team is it falls on you because you are good at creative finance, that you're probably the bottleneck, right?
I'm 100% the bottleneck.
People are like, hey, Gino, can you get on a phone call? You're like, dude, I'm in Italy right now.
Yeah, no, for real though. That's really what happens is majority of the time they're like, hey, we got a seller wants this. And then, you said, it can fall through the cracks pretty easily. So that's one goal for 2024 is just bring someone on the team. If anyone's out there, anywhere virtual, that's a,
Oh, you don't mind virtual?
No, it's all virtual.
How do they
like
get a hold of you, Gino?
On Instagram is probably best.
What's the Instagram?
It's just my name, Gino Palumba, Palomba. But like I said, virtual, if you have sales experience.
Are you taking Palumba as your last name? All right, cool.
She guessed, man.
I would. I'm proud of this guy. I would take it.
But no, anyway, like I mentioned, it's just another way we are able to offer more to sellers by going this route. And we found, like I said, the last 2 years, full 2 years, 2022, 2023, being able to do that. But
here's a good question. Was that good information, guys, from Gino? Give him a little bit of love.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's see if they have questions. Because I think, what is uncertain about his process? Seriously, ask.
Yeah, because it is definitely something.
What happens if they're like, no, I don't want to put it on the MLS. I don't want anybody knowing I'm selling this property.
I would say 100.
I could just put it on the MLS myself.
Yeah, and obviously the question next is, why haven't you already done it?
Right.
Why haven't you done it? Well, I just haven't really thought about it. Or if I was going to do that, just pay an agent. Hey, I understand completely.
Mm-hmm.
You already told me that you have X pain, that you want to get this process started a little quicker. Agents usually sign you in 6-month listing agreements, and obviously they're incentivized to sell your property for more money so they can make more commission, and nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, do you think they're going to be willing to get you to the finish line, to the time frame you've already told me, because you got to get X finished? Again, just trying to hit the pain and figure out exactly. And look, we're not always the best fit for everyone. Right?
What's your time frame once you get under contract? You say 30 days or less, we'll get this thing sold?
No, usually it's 60 days.
60 days, okay.
60 days. And so that's where our cash conversion cycle is a little higher too. But again, that's because we're dealing with retail buyers. And
they need loans and all that.
They need loans.
And
look,
inspections and all
remember this: speed, price, convenience. The sellers only get to pick two. All right. If they want speed and convenience, then they have to work at your price. We are deal finders. We're not deal creators. Does that make sense? You get rid of the people that want to be on the MLS. You hit them with they're on Hell Island. They want to get to Heaven Island. There's different bridges that they can cross. What are those bridges? Do they understand those bridges? You want to go through all the different bridges. Why not fix it up and keep it yourself? Why not list it with an agent? Why not just stay here for longer? All of these things, just pull down all these bridges till there's only one left. Working with us. And that's what you do. That's the whole process of conversion. What Gino's talking about here is really high level of just finding out what is the pain that these people have. What is the problem that we can solve with this, with putting it on the market and handling everything for them. That's what you're looking for. Don't try to convince anybody of anything.
Ingrid Hernandez, our resident unicorn agent. You think I can left-handed this right now?
Yeah, you got it. It's like 5 feet.
Kobe.
Oh, jeez.
That was so bad, bro. Oh, my gosh. It got there.
As part of your process, are you flat fee listing versus just having an on-staff agent?
Yeah, good question.
What's stopping you from having an on-staff agent?
I mean, just personally, just because I have a good buddy that's a broker in Atlanta, or Metro Atlanta, and he actually services Dallas and Raleigh Durham too. So I just pay him a flat fee per month. It's actually like a subscription fee. And I just pay him a flat fee and list as many properties as I want through him as a broker.
Gino, why haven't you come into the subto community and told us this?
I need to do it. I got to do a better job.
Okay.
It's my fault.
Right after you guys get married, we're going to get this done, okay?
Get there first.
Having a flat fee subscription
Exactly.
with wholesalers who might need expired listings and or specific searches that I can make available to them.
That's genius.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
HernandezData.com.
Ayo.
Ayo.
So what are you paying the buyer's agent?
You still
What are
pay
you
the
paying
3%. The 3% is typical in our market for the buyer's agent.
Okay.
Right? Because usually 6% you pay your listing agent 3%, at least in Georgia, right? Maybe you guys know something different, but in Georgia, it's usually you pay your listing agent 3%, buyer's agent 3%. So still,
he
tries to sell it to his cash buyers first.
Yeah,
though.
first I try to send it out. And
Because there's significant.
Well, I've got two on the market like this, and I'm giving the buyer's agent only a flat fee of $2,000.
Yeah, you can do that too, but the buyer's
is
probably
it
not
working?
Huh?
I mean, if it's working, then do it. But in this
well,
market,
this is the first two that I'm trying, so that's what
Are you
I'm
getting
trying to get
nibbles
some
on
feedback.
on the thing? Are they biting?
Yeah, I am getting some bites.
Where is it
Oh, then
located?
there
Is
you
it
go.
over here?
PA in Florida.
Oh, PA. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I
what's
mean,
the
just
price point?
It's at 75%.
No, I mean, what's the actual list price?
Oh, 235.
So it's
Yeah, it's
People,
pretty low.
people in PA and Florida can live on $2,000. They're fine.
Yeah.
maybe I don't know about Florida, but
You don't even need teeth to live in PA.
Yeah.
no, I mean I would say you want to incentivize the buyer's agent as much as possible, especially like you said in this
Why
market.
are you only doing $2,000?
Well, I really did. It was just an idea from somebody else in subto to do this. And so I was just, exactly. So I thought I would try it and see about it. So,
It's tough.
the
'cause
listing
agents-
agent is getting 1%. The buyer's agent is getting 2,000 flat fee.
I say listing agents deserve nothing and buyer's agents deserve 3%.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, buyer's agents really do actually work much harder than listing agents. Let's be honest. And they're the ones that are like, when you're the buyer's agent, you're the therapist to the buyer. You're the one, the buyer's agent's the one who actually sells the buyer on that house and coaches them through that transaction. The listing agent is like hanging out doing nothing.
Doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
One listing agent can list 200 houses.
Right.
Good luck
Yeah,
showing
sure.
200 houses as a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you sell them at 2,000, that's dope. But if you don't, I'd say
Right.
raise
Yeah.
that fee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to be calling you.
Yeah, I would for sure do.
We got a good question. I think we jump on. This is an interesting thing. A lot of people don't understand they don't understand auctions and foreclosures. So let's talk about this. Gino, I'm going to give you a layup on this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you wholesale a property with an auction date set for next month?
Yes.
I heard it's illegal to wholesale a foreclosure. I think there's a difference of conversation here, just so you know. They're actually asking two different questions. I have a seller in that situation, but once I get a hold of them, what do I do? So they're actually, in their mind, they're thinking they're asking the same question, but they're actually talking about two different terminologies. They're talking about a pre-foreclosure and somebody who's already been foreclosed on. What's the answer?
Pre-foreclosure, if they haven't got to the auction date, the bank has taken over. Yeah, 100% you can wholesale the deal. But like you said, if a bank's already owned it by now and it's
not
going up-
illegal, but
Yeah,
how are you going to
wholesale
do it?
Yeah, how are you going to do it through the bank or through the auction site? I don't know how you would do that. Maybe the guy's next to you, but why wouldn't he bid it? So yeah, no, like you mentioned, if it's already been foreclosed on, the bank already has it, you're out of luck. But again, if the auction date hasn't come yet, yes, you can. Of course you can.
Yeah, the big thing there, Nathan, is that you need to postpone the auction. That's what you need a transaction coordinator for, or somebody who knows what the heck they're doing. You have an auction, it's coming up. You need to kick it down the road 30 days, do a postponement, and try and find a buyer. The buyer comes in and pays off the house before that auction date. There's nothing illegal about selling your own house before it's been foreclosed on.
I think there might be a little bit of cross-pollination between foreclosure and short sale. With short sales, you can't just wholesale. You can't assign that. They're going to prevent that. And so maybe that's where the lines are getting crossed there, Nathan. But Nathan needs to hang out with us more.
Yeah.
Because he's getting a lot of bad information. Because that's the second question that was just like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hang out with us more, Nathan. We'll make sure you're on the right path.
Yeah, foreclosures are, it's interesting because we'll talk about foreclosures as an umbrella, assuming I'm never talking about an actual foreclosure. I don't ever.
It's pre-foreclosure.
But I don't ever communicate and say, hey guys, let's call pre-foreclosures. I just say, let's call foreclosures. Right. And I think that overall terminology gets people confused.
Yeah.
We will never call a house that's already been foreclosed on. That is no longer, it's not called a foreclosure. It's called an REO, real estate owned by the bank. The bank now owns that. It's gone. The seller doesn't own it. You're done. There's no opportunity for you to go buy that house unless it's a sheriff auction and you go back and there's a redemption period. Yeah. That's a whole nother rabbit hole for another day. Yeah. Carlos says, what do you think about driving for dollars, Brent?
It's my first 20 deals. That's it. Started with a beat up car, driving around with plastic on my back window because hail. Remember the hailstorm of 2010
my gosh.
or whatever?
What kind of car was
bananas. It was a
Lexus,
like a sand colored Lexus.
Yes,
there it is.
But it was it was from 2000. It was a 2000 ES 300, and the back windows got blasted out by these big hail by hail because I didn't have any money for covered parking. And so my car's destroyed. I'm driving around. I've got a pad of paper and a pen, and I would write the street name.
That's
at
the best
top.
CRM I've ever had.
Yeah, I'd write the street name at the top, and then I'd write down the numbers of the ugly houses. So then I knew what street it was, I knew what numbers it was, and then I'd go back and find the phone numbers and call them up, and that's how I did my first 20 deals. And I did it all with a accordion binder, right? And you just put it. It's 1 through 31, right? It has all the days of the month, and it's the 8th, it's the 7th, whatever. You pull it out. There's my lead follow-up, my lead sheet. Call them up. Boom, done.
I think the biggest
I made $1 million that way.
What?
Heck yeah.
$1 million, my first $1
I ring
million
that bell right there.
I did
Wow.
not put any of my leads inside of a computer.
Did you buy a new car?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I bought a Prius.
You did?
I did.
Yes!
Prius,
I really did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Driving for dollars. The biggest misconception I get with driving for dollars is that they think it is a lead generation tool.
Right.
It's not. It is a
List,
list building tool.
Right.
It's building a list because once I get the list, Brent, what do I have to do?
You have to call them.
So
You have to talk to them.
That's the
You have
lead
to have
generation.
a quality conversation with the property owner.
Yes.
It's crazy.
No.
And the more you do it, the more successful you will be. Every financial problem you have is on the other side of you having a quality conversation with a property owner.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. Everything, any kind of debts, any kind of like weird confidence that you have or don't have, it's all solved by talking to people every single day. That's it.
Ooh.
And if you want to text them, great. If you want to DM them, fantastic. If you want to get into a network, a community, and do deals that way,
You still
great.
have to talk to
You
people.
still have to talk to people every single day. And if you do that, you are guaranteed to win. It is undefeated. It is invincible. If you talk to enough people, you will do deals.
Okay, well, what about this? I'm doing a deal
Mhm.
and I've assigned the contract. Okay, Brent, you're my attorney. I've assigned the contract to Gino. Gino's in freaking Italy. Who knows where he's at?
Of course he is.
Okay, so this is the
Screw 'em.
question, everybody. You guys can't see it on the screen. Can you? No? Okay. The question is, if you assigned a contract to an end buyer and this person keeps delaying closing because he's in Italy, can you, as the wholesaler, terminate the contract? Can I terminate the contract because you haven't closed escrow? Attorney, what do you say?
It depends.
Oh, of course. That's the answer.
That's what every attorney will say that
Well,
for
it
every question that you'll
depends.
answer. That it depends. That's a classic. But if it's in your assignment agreement, sure.
Okay, here's a couple of things that you do. If I have a wholesaler that's not closing on the deal, because if you haven't closed on the deal and you keep kicking the can down the road,
Do you
and
have verbiage in your assignment agreement?
yes.
Right.
The here's the thing. If I assign a deal to you and you don't close on time, here's how I legally cancel the contract if you are ghosting me. How do I do it? I can't just go, all right, I'm going to go sell to somebody else. That's not how this works. I have to cure.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my agent, my Hernandez agent right here.
Cure notice.
I have to send an email to title or the closing attorney and say, hey, Gino has been MIA for 3 or 4 days. I'm going to send this as a cure notice to let him know I'm giving him 3 more days to come and close the deal. Otherwise, we will just assume he's canceled the contract. Now I can legally go sell that somewhere else because I have cured. Now, even if they have a memorandum, here's the beautiful thing. If you, Gino, put a memorandum on the property that I'm wholesaling to you and you ghost me, as long as I have a cure notice, here's what I do. I go to my attorney and I go, reach out to Gino and get that memorandum removed.
Yeah.
I canceled the contract. It'll cost you a couple $100. We had Sean St. Clair come on Wholesale Hotline, I think 9 months ago, and he told a story of exactly how that happened. I sold the property to somebody. They ghosted me. I cured them. They avoided me. And then I went to go sell it to someone else, and they had a freaking memorandum on the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get my attorney involved. They removed it. It took about 3 days, and it cost me about $400 or $500.
Remember that the purchase agreement it lays out the relationship between you and the seller. Okay. The assignment agreement lays out the relationship between you and the buyer. All right. This is all that the title company or closing attorney is going to look at to understand what is this relationship. They don't care about emotions. They care about black and white, what is on the purchase agreement and the assignment agreement. All right. That's it. So just make sure that you have really, really good agreements. Really good, because that'll protect you.
Yes. Now here's Jamil. He's in here today. He says, and this could be Brent, though. This could be Bobby. I don't know who it is. Jamil built the largest wholesale business around scaling direct to agent. It's very, very scalable. Yes, Jamil, we know that. What we're talking about is newbies and why people go direct to seller, why they go direct to agent. Why I love direct to agent. Who's doing direct to agent? I know Landon's focusing on direct to agent. Okay, so about 30-40% of the room is direct to agent. At some point, when you have a big team of acquisition people, you want to keep them fed. You got to start spending a little bit of money. Or you got to train those acquisition people to be really good with agents. Landon, have you done multiple deals with 1 or 2 agents yet? Okay, and they trust you. Do you feel confident passing them on to an acquisition person that's been on your team for 2 months yet? Okay, you do. Okay, perfect. So Landon's feeling confident about it. Me, that's not a skill set I have. You are a better man than I in that. Jamil's a better man than I at that. So you have to make your determination of which lane you go at.
Yeah, and I think it's big too because, direct to agent, I think Jamil does a very good job and, of scaling with how you can communicate with other wholesalers in the market. Keegley's in Atlanta, Keegley's in other markets, and look, they're a great resource. They are able to help on certain deals we can't sell. And they're very good at building connections, which is a big thing, talking to people in our city. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very, very, they're doing a very good job of it. And, props to Jamil for that.
110 markets he's in.
Exactly.
He sold my first 100 deals.
Exactly.
I don't know a better wholesaler than Jamil Damji.
That's exactly. And but what I was referencing earlier was just direct to agent. For me, like you said, Pace, I don't have the skill set for it to where we're waiting for agents to send me deals. Now, the way Jamil does it with wholesalers, I would say it's the best in the country, right?
Yeah.
Well, when Jamil started, he would just, I'll buy the deal. I'll buy the deal. I'll buy the deal. Yeah. All of them. He was just hoovering up all the deals. I'll buy the deal. He didn't buy the deal.
No.
I mean, he would if he had to, but he was just wholesaling it. He had the best cash buyer database.
There you go.
So remember, it's lead generation, conversion, and then exit strategy. There's only 3 exit strategies. You buy and hold, you buy and flip, or you assign your rights to whatever agreement that you have. That's it. So if you're not able to assign that deal, you need to find somebody who you can go to help you assign that deal to a cash buyer. You don't get paid.
Okay, so boys, what are we doing when a seller ghosts us? Because that's never happened, right? You've never had a seller just completely ghost you.
I wish. Many times.
What do we do, Gino? What do we do, Brent?
Usually what I do too is I have a cure period in my agreement as well for the seller. But more importantly, what we try to do is first trying to, as much as possible, communicate, text.
Knock their door, maybe.
Knock their door, go right to their door, like you said. Contact family on Facebook, contact them on Facebook. Try to, before we get any legal action involved, then you obviously got a demand letter that gets sent out. We use Brian Locker that works with Sean.
He's so great.
Yeah, so
great attorney name.
Yeah,
Brian Locker. Yeah, no.
I think you change your name to Brian Locker when you become an attorney.
I think so.
More,
it's a given.
And same thing with like St. Clair, Sean St. Clair.
Yeah, he feels
trouble then.
Pace St. Morby.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be cool.
Attorney at law.
There you go.
But more importantly, like I said, just trying to communicate and like we're saying in this example, if they ghost, then we file a notice of interest or memorandum on the property, but follow that up with multiple steps of trying to get a demand letter going as well. And then eventually, if it's a big enough deal, 40, I was talking to Brian about this actually the other week. I think he said about anything from 40 up, then you can start going after
meaning
that list
you
pendants.
have an assignment fee of $40,000.
$40,000 or more, then go for the list pendants and try to file the lawsuit to.
So Brian has
for performance.
Brian has been my litigator here in Phoenix probably 7 times. I will go after a seller over $5,000.
Yeah,
I'm gangster like that. Pay St. Clair, bro. I'll go out right
all
after
out
you.
for it.
So
I think for Georgia, maybe it was a little different in terms of what he was.
Yeah, and also when I first started out, here's the first time I had this happen. It was a little bit different than a seller ghosting me. What it was I had a deal under contract. I met with the seller. I record every phone call I did. It wasn't a phone call. It was a recording. I have every seller I've ever met in their home on recording. You remember when I used to give these away on my Instagram stories?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, anybody want to listen to this call I just had with the seller? Here you go. Boom. This is like 6 years ago. And I recorded my conversation with her, but I didn't have a freaking entire contract. I thought I had the whole contract. I was missing 2 pages. I was like, only a visionary would make this mistake. So my wife goes back, Laura, shout out to my wife, Laura. She goes back to the appointment, records the conversation with the seller, gets the contract signed. We open escrow. We take it to John. Okay. You know, John.
Title company, John?
No. The guy who screwed me $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
I take it to John. I go, hey John, will you sell this deal for me? And I'm making like $80,000 on the deal. And John had an agreement with me. He's like, flat fee every time I dispo a deal for you, I'll only make $5,000 bucks.
Mhm.
I'm like, done.
He's
All
going
right.
to backdoor you, isn't he?
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So I get a call from the title company about a week later, and they go, hey, we got this letter from the seller saying that she's canceling the contract.
Mhm.
I go, send me the letter. It's the most eloquent letter a drug addict has ever written in their
Yeah,
lives. I'm telling you. And I'm reading this letter, and my wife is like, that is not from, I think her name was April.
It's no way.
That is no way from April. It's from Voldemort. Yes. And what ended up happening is I go, all right, Brian, what do I do? Brian's like, I don't know, how much are you making? I go, $80,000. He goes, we're
Let's
suing
go.
for specific performance. So what happens is you go from a memorandum to a lis pendens. A lis pendens means a pending lawsuit, like you mentioned. I have 100 days from the day a lis pendens is filed. It costs about $1,200 until I actually have to file a lawsuit. So I'm hoping that 100 days presses really hard on that seller's psyche, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I got served a pending lawsuit. And it worked. Here's what ended up happening. The lady just said straight up, like, yeah, this guy, John, just came and knocked on my door. He showed me your contract and said, hey, I know who signed your contract. I can pay you $5,000 more, and I'll write the letter to cancel the contract for you.
God, Big John messed up.
Big John. That was the last deal John and
I heard
ever
he
did.
was hiring people off of Craigslist to go to doors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Random people?
With the
Facebook
email
or-
blast out and go, I can get you more.
Yeah,
I can get
so
you more.
Anytime
I've got a guy that can get you more. Here's his. Let me put you on the phone.
notorious
with him.
guy.
God.
He's anybody that's ever heard my bankruptcy story. He filed bankruptcy on me and like $16 million worth of our friends,
Mhm.
all the same day. This is the guy that was doing all that kind of stuff for like 4 or 5 years later. Files bankruptcy.
He's sneaking back, isn't he?
Oh, he's sneaking in. He's sneaking back.
He is.
It's
Big
been
Johnny.
about 5 years, so he's probably racking up some debt, waiting to file bankruptcy again in 2 years. By the time he filed bankruptcy on me, it was his third time filing bankruptcy. So first and foremost, remember, you will run into people like this in the business. Welcome to business. Gino, you ever run into knuckleheads in this business?
A bunch of times.
Okay. There's no way to avoid it, right?
No.
Okay, cool. So if a seller ghosts you, Brent, what's your guys' process?
Well, so you were talking about it like in transaction.
Yeah.
We don't really deal with that much. We're more we've got a really great lead. They tell us everything. We get the 4 pillars, right? We know the condition. We know their timeline. We know their motivation. We know their price. It's a hot lead. We're like, oh my gosh, let's get on this appointment. We go on the appointment. They don't answer the door.
Mhm.
We go in we're following up. We're following up. And so it's just, it just takes time. I mean, we go to the door a lot. We go to the door just to try to communicate with anybody, try to find somebody that's going to have a conversation with us. But it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often.
One thing I do like about, that April story, here's what happened with me. When it does happen to me, here's what I did. I got a settlement with April. I did win the specific performance. She had to pay an extra 20. So she paid damages, my attorney's fees.
Mhm.
She paid all my expenses, everything. It was like maybe $15,000 in attorney's fees. Plus the judge awarded me like $21,000 off of her purchase price.
Mm.
So I went from making $80,000 to over $100,000, and she had to pay $15,000. So that settlement was one of the greatest things I ever spent money for, because guess what my team does? Every time a seller starts to ghost us or tries to cancel contract,
Have that.
we send a
that
copy
story.
of the settlement and say, hey, just so you know, this is getting serious. This is what ultimately ends up happening when sellers do this to us. So, but before that, I was afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, attorneys are scary.
Yeah, exactly.
But like Brian Locker probably becomes friendly with you, and
Oh,
you get to a
yeah,
point
yeah,
where
no.
like you joke around with each other, and your
Yeah.
attorney's your homie.
Yeah, we're cool.
Yeah.
I'll actually tell one funny story real quick about it that I think the audience would appreciate. I was building up content on my YouTube and Instagram Reels, and I was young, dumb, like I still am today, 24. But
You were 20. You were
I was
24.
23 when I did this. I'm 24
Okay.
now. But to the point of the story is, I was on the phone recording me talking to this was it the seller? Yeah, the seller, telling him that, look, you can't back out. We have this in place. We have this.
I think I remember seeing this.
And I
reel.
recorded this, and I put on my YouTube, like, this is how you can try to avoid something. And then the attorney that represented, it was actually because we're suing the title company because they closed over my memorandum.
Mm.
I get this long email, right? And And Brian doesn't know I did this. And actually, excuse me, I was talking to the seller and then immediately called up, or the closing attorney immediately called up Brian. And I was on the phone with Brian talking like, this is how you deal with it. Rookie mistake, right? You got to learn from something. And long story short, the attorney for the title company saw it and started saying, hey, they were referencing the words I said in the video, Brian, just to let you know, your buddy Gino put you all over YouTube. So me and Brian had some good conversations about certain things, but yeah,
the good thing about Brian is he has a YouTube channel and a podcast, so he's chill about that.
Yeah, stuff. He was chill. He was just like, "Don't do it again. Don't put that out." Oh
my gosh! I used to call sellers on live YouTube probably 4 or 5 years ago, and then one time I'm on a call and I'm live. I've got 300-400 people watching me on YouTube, and the seller's like, "Hey, am I on YouTube right now?"
Yeah, see it right there.
I'm like, "No, why would you say that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at the camera like, oh shit. Yeah. So what happened is somebody was watching my live, saw the address, called a text message to the seller, the YouTube link, and was like, hey, just so you know, you're on YouTube live. I was like, I'm never doing live calls ever again. Crazy. Okay, here's a good one.
Not on YouTube.
Not on YouTube. Hey, Pace, what do you do when you share an address with a cash buyer wholesaler and they go to the seller and acts like he works for my company and gets that contract? I've never had that happen specifically. Well, here, let me ask this question different, because that's not a thing that happens, right? No. If all three of us are like, nah, that ain't happening, it's pretty rare if it does happen. So don't worry about it. You're thinking about something that doesn't exist. Here's a better question. When do I share an address to a cash buyer and when do I not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it is a deal that is over 40,000 for us, we're going to just close it. We get ownership right away, close it with our own funds, and get on title. I don't want anything screwing up the deal, because we've put out deals before, and sometimes it's not even people backdooring you. Sometimes it's like the seller's cousin is an agent that's on our list, and they're like, "Wait, isn't that your fourplex? What's going on?" You know what I mean? And that's happened before. We've lost a few times because of that. And so if it's a smoking deal, I'm going to just close it right away. And I would highly suggest that you do it. Just find somebody that's a great hard money lender in your area and just get it closed. Just get it closed, get it done, and then put it out to everybody. And then you can't get backdoored. And that's something that we had to learn, because when it was getting real dicey, when it was getting really tight in the second half of 22, we saw the knives come out. We saw the snakes just slither out, and they were just desperate. And I think most of them are gone now. I think that they're just out of the business. But if you got a really big deal, I would close on it as quick as you can. Find some way to close it. Get private money, talk to your family, friends, whatever. Just get it closed, get on title, and then sell that deal.
Scott W. says, I haven't been to Wholesale Hotline in a minute. I forgot how good it is. Thank you for taking the time to do it.
We missed you, Scott.
No problem.
Scotty.
4 years of our Monday evenings. Okay. Usually Monday night used to be taco night for me. I had to give up all my tacos just for you guys, just so you know.
You had tacos before you got here.
I know. I know.
Sun wasn't down yet.
Yeah. Okay, here's a good one. Talking about judgments. Freddie Pavita says, talking about judgments, I got one against a squatter. How would you go about collecting? First and foremost, I'm not getting a judgment against a squatter. No. I would not have wasted my time in the first place. You can't squeeze blood from a turnip.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and sue somebody that doesn't have any money, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have you guys ever had to sue tenants or anything like that? Evict?
Oh, we went through a real time. I mean, you call them what'd you say, a drug addict? This was a meth enthusiast.
Oh yes.
She was, oh man, she had
was it during COVID?
Shape. Well, the issue is, like, I felt bad. So it was her mom's house, right? And her mom put in the inheritance that it goes all to the brother if the sister's still on drugs. So all she has to do is not be on drugs for at least a little bit, right? Couldn't do it. So went to the brother. The brother's like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with her. She's having a ton of people come over. And it's heartbreaking, because the neighborhood it's like North Phoenix. These are $450,000 houses. The neighbors are all like this is the blight to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, the cops are sitting out there all the time. People are coming in. They're doing all sorts of crazy drugs. It's a real problem for the neighborhood. Everybody knows this, right? She just won't leave. She won't leave. We finally got the eviction done. The constable goes tomorrow.
This is happening right now.
At 12:30, the constable goes to change
I
up
miss
the
going to
locks.
those. I used to go meet the constable at the house.
But it's a process. It was definitely a process. We went over there. I went over there with Ryan, my acquisition manager, just to kind of figure out if we can give her cash for keys. And I just wanted to see what was going on with this deal. And mid her moving stuff out, I'm putting stuff in my brand new Denali, right? All of her stuff, and it's gross. And I'm moving.
That's
it
happening
to her brother's house
right now. That's your Denali.
Yeah.
What happened to the truck?
I just wanted.
It's just time for more babies, or what's up?
No, just something a little bit.
All right, switch it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, and mid getting her out, she's just like, I know my rights. You can't kick me out with an eviction. I'm going to wait till the courts do it. I was like, okay, we got to get out of here. So we did.
That's crazy.
And now it's done. But
did the constable just?
We sold it. We sold it this morning. We closed on it for $241. Sold it for $283.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it was only $995 for the eviction.
That's it.
That's it.
How long did it take?
2 weeks.
What?
2 weeks.
Do you remember who you used?
Yeah.
I need this.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
That's the cheapest eviction I've ever heard of.
Oh yeah, I'll hook you up.
Speed too.
That's amazing.
I'm actually doing the first one just now too, and tomorrow's the court date.
Your first eviction right now?
Yeah, and tomorrow's the court date too. So tomorrow's the day of just to mediate with the tenant, but I'm not there.
Well, it's like you wonder what you do like for humanity as a wholesaler, because we make really good money. We're providing the service that the seller isn't going to figure out their problems, but truly what you do, you bring investment into these neighborhoods.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You truly upgrade the neighborhoods. And I think that people should take more pride in that. I think wholesalers got to stop thinking so much as that we're like, mover and shakers and hustlers, and really understanding that property's been like that for years. The properties that we deal with have been vacant for years. There's been people going in and out of these properties, and the neighborhood's looking at it like, who's going to do something about this house?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it finally turns over and that house is now worth $450,000, it's beautiful. There's a family living in there. The next door neighbor is a dude that works for like Cox Cable, big burly beard. He's got an 18-month-old that's toddling around, and there's needles in the front yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what we do as wholesalers isn't just go and get deals and do get these huge checks and all this, right? We literally like upgrade these neighborhoods.
Yeah,
we upgrade the neighborhoods. It's phenomenal.
Eric got me on a call with a seller today, and it was a Zoom. And what was one word or what was sentence that Amanda said today out loud that just hit you? I'm just done. Take the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You're not just alleviating so much pressure, so much stress. When I used to hear, well, we're just going after pain. We're just trying to solve pain. That was so ambiguous to me. I had no idea what it meant. Now that I know what it meant, it's like, it's such a variety of stories that you've solved. Have you ever done a deal where you didn't solve somebody's problem in a major freaking way?
Always big deals. Always big problems.
Big
and
problems.
It's the 6 S's, and I always screw this up.
Oh, I don't know what these are. I don't know this.
But when you upgrade a neighborhood and the values go up, it affects the 6 S's. It's security, right? The actual police,
the supply chain of drugs.
No, I mean when you disrupt that.
7 now.
Sewage gets more. Which is sanitation. The spaces, which is like the parks and everything, get better. The services in the area go up, right? This is all from our property taxes, right? The streets, right? Literally the streets, the way that the streets are paved and taken care of. And there's another one, and schools. And schools, thank you. The 6 S's. That's what happens when you increase the value of a neighborhood. Is the 6 S's, and that comes from property tax. Property taxes are based on the value of the properties, and the properties will not increase in value if there's a bunch of rundown properties. So when we go into these communities, we're increasing all of those things by bringing investors to that deal, and that deal will sit there for years and years and years unless we go and we introduce ourselves into that seller's life, property owner's life.
The nastiest deal I've ever done was a year and a half ago. and I just barely got it rented out. Took me a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I buy the deal. I'm traveling around with Jamil. A wholesaler sends me a deal and he goes, hey, I've got this deal. Do you want it? I go, drop the price. Actually, I go to Jamil, you think this is a good price? Still to this day, I use Jamil as a crutch all the time. Hey, you think it's a good price? He goes, tell him to drop at 30 grand. It's a great deal. I go, drop at 30 grand. It's a good deal. And they drop at 30 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I buy the deal. The problem is the seller says, do not disrupt my tenant.
Mm-hmm.
You have to close the property with my tenant in it, and you have to deal with the tenant.
Right.
That's why we did the $30,000 eviction, because Jamil's like, dude, this is going to be a crazy eviction. They're not paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I decide, this is really smart of me. I'm going to put this on the TV show. We're going to go and talk to this tenant on A&E. So, oh my gosh.
Did it air?
It was so bad. There's no way.
There's no way they're in that.
But I thought it was a really good idea. It was not a good idea. We go to the property. Her name is Mercedes. Does anybody in the community remember this Mercedes call? Anybody remember this? No? Okay. Wow. I ended up calling this lady Mercedes live in the subto community. She was my tenant. You remember this? Oh, Shady Mercedes is what we called it.
Mercedes.
Mercedes. We called it Mercedes. She had been living in this property for 30 years, not paying rent.
Yeah.
Not paying rent. Finally, the landlord is like, I am so done with this. I'm about to die. I just want to sell the property and just be done and give the money away. I go and I talk to the tenant. I go, hey, my name is Pace. Here's the deed. I now own it. I just want to let you know I'm probably going to do some cash for keys for you. She's like, yeah, right. I own this property. I've been living here for 30 years. I have this, that, and the other. I have all these rights.
Adverse possession.
And adverse possession.
Mm-hmm.
Had to get an attorney involved. It was not fun. She claimed all sorts of things. It took about 13 months. And when my contractors went over, there was like 14 dumpsters. It was crazy. And there were homeless people running an OnlyFans account in the backyard. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. He saw the video.
All you need is a phone.
All you need is a phone, guys. It's content's content, you know?
They're getting loud.
You got to get loud. You got to tell people what you do, you know?
So, the market for everything.
It was so
Barely.
bad. The whole neighborhood, it was homeless people like all around there that were all going over there and doing nefarious crap. And the lady next door, she came over after we renovated the property. We turned it into a pad split. So now there's 7 residents living there, just all, renting by the room. And she came over and she said, hey, I have a daughter. And we were trying to move out of the neighborhood for the last year because of how bad this house was. And we just want to say thank you for cleaning this up. And I go, no problem. That's what I do. Next neighbor comes over, does the same thing. Next neighbor comes over, does the same thing. All within 30 minutes, I had 4 neighbors come over and say thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it sucks. Sometimes this business can suck.
Yeah.
And that property now makes $1,500 a month, which is nice. But you will deal with this kind of crap. You'll deal with all sorts of things. You'll deal with shady people. But has anybody been in business where you don't deal with shady people and you make a ton of money? Anybody? No?
The biggest deal we did last year was a divorced couple.
Ooh.
And she had 6 months to, she got the property, but the loan was in his name. She had 6 months to get the loan out of his name, either sell the property or refinance. She didn't make any payments for 11 years. So her ex-husband made payments at the house that was hers, that he was on a loan for 10 years. And then was like, you know what, this is, I'm going to just let it foreclose. And so we were
after
like,
10 years of payments.
So we go, hey, listen,
this dude.
Hey, we'll help you out. We'll hook you up with an attorney. You go and see if you can get. And he got the property back in his name, and sold it to us for what he owed, which was nothing, right? But we had to deal with his.
Wow.
The ex-wife.
You had to get her out.
Oh yeah,
living there rent free for 10
oh
years.
Yeah, it was rough. I gotta go because I gotta go
no
to
problem. You
speak
take off.
at Azria. So
you take off. We'll wrap it up.
Okay, you're the best.
Hey, love you, brother. Happy New Year. Love you.
Happy new baby.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're working.
Thank you, guys.
We're working on the next one already. Okay. So, guys, we've got like 1 more minute left. Anybody got anything for Gino? Gino, you got anything for me today?
Keep inspiring. Keep helping the community. I see a bunch of your stuff. Keep doing it. I'm looking at it. It's motivating me. Your daily plans.
When's the first baby coming, bro? Come on.
To be determined. To be determined.
I'm going to treat you like one of my Mormon friends. It's like, get married,
Go
start
quick.
having babies. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Quick.
When you're Mormon, here's what happens. Everybody asks you, when do you get baptized? When you're 8. Then when you're 18, what do people start asking you?
Well, I guess if you're Mormon, I'm not Mormon.
When are you going on your mission? And then when you come home from your mission, day 1, what do they ask you? When are you getting married? Then the second you get married, what are they asking you?
Kids.
You have a kid. What's the first thing they ask you after you have your first kid?
Next one.
What's the next one? And it never stops, just so you know. Okay. My parents are already like, when's number 5 happening? I'm like, we're done. We got 4. We're good. We are good. We're good. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and coming live. Does anybody want to hand this key over to Larry Parsons, this nice little Prius? Anybody want to do that? Okay. You're the guy.
There you go.
Wholesale Hotline.
I got a question.
Yes. Larry.
One of your pullovers.
Oh.
Larry's a lion.
Oh yeah, I'll get you one of them. I'll send it to you.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Where can they pick one up?
Well, I don't have it for sale. It's just the company's, but my Instagram is Gino, Gino, Palumba, Palomba. But yeah, I'll send you one. I got a couple left. So
You're going to be on Steve Trang on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, yes,
It's
sir.
going to be live?
I don't know if Steve's doing it nowadays, but
yeah, I don't think Steve knows what he's doing nowadays. I got to give him that little jab. All right, guys. Wholesale Hotline. We are out. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.